Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of June 9th through the 13th. I will go over price targets on the 5, have a gap recap from June 2nd through the 6th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Tsly. We ended the week at 804, up 4.42%. This is where we landed. To the north side takes us to resistance, and that is roughly 818. Above that, another level of resistance, 838, and another potential take profit area, 858. To the south side, the middle of the trend and the baseline is now 777. Below that, at another level of support, 737, 717, and roughly 696. I do not anticipate price to get to this level on Monday, but if we wick down to this level, I will anticipate a bounce. Note the bounce here at support, sell off here at resistance, and on the way down. And then we hit this line, which turns into resistance, and we chopped sideways. So if we go down and then we reverse back up this line, right here, we could chop sideways or continue to go down. As far as the gaps go from last week, let's take a look at that. This gap already closed. Let me clean that one up. I think I may have done that already. Yeah, let's move that over to Thursday the 29th. This gap to the south side. Remember, I just extend this out. I have no idea when it's going to touch, and it did right here to the south side on Monday out of the gate. So this gap to the south side at 912 is no longer in play. Congrats if you went short there. And we've got another gap that I need to clean. What is, oh no, that's not a gap. Those are my previous buy-in areas. So ignore all these horizontal lines. The purple ones are in 2025, the yellow in 2024, and this hot pink line is my previous buy-in lines. And I actually have shares also at $7.93, $7.08, or $7, and I think that's it. But we are reversing to the south side. Now, this gap is still in play, taking us down to 776. This gap taking us down to 833. Oh, it just touched it right there. I hit it on the head. It actually hit here when I marked it out. That's so funny. 833 to the south side. It started at 843, so that is no longer in play. That opened up on Thursday, May 8th. And we have this gap as well. That took us down to 861. Delete. No longer a landmine to the south side. Done. All right, we've got, oh, and this gap, oh, that's good. This took us down to 801, closed out at 798. Look at this. That opened on April 25th. So this gap, even though it's kind of small, it touched right there. Oh, no, wait. Nope, it touched right here. Okay, that is done. So congrats if you played it to the south side, because what goes up must come down, and it certainly did. And that one is 798. Delete, delete. Man, we got taken out this week because of the feud between Trump and Elon. All right. I love it that Elon is not afraid to say anything, though, especially when it comes to the Epstein files. I need to know more. And he's the only man that can tell us the truth, because he's not afraid to tell the truth, because he's worth gazillions. Okay, that's going to take us down to 732. And this is going to take us down to 705. Not quite there yet. Oh, but we could touch this within this time frame, the 9th through the 13th, if we continue to go south. Okay, we're going to bleed out here. But obviously, anytime we hit support, we will bounce up. 732, yeah. All right, that looks good. And frankly, I like to rip off the Band-Aid and just wick us down there to close out these gaps so we can look forward to a reversal. Okay, that's Tsly. Let's carry on here. I spent too much time with Tsly. At the end of the week, if we continue to go south, the middle of the trend could take us to roughly 546. Yikes. Sofi. That's why you need to set your stop limits and your sell limits if you're trying to get in, get up, and get out. Okay, Sofi. Oh, one other thing. This middle of the trend here, if my recording stops, I'm just going to have to do this in two parts. The middle of the trend is here. This is an old one that's very close to where we were before. I marked out this one on Friday the 21st for Monday the 24th. I'm going to delete this just to get it out of my way, sort of cleaned up. I'll leave that one for now. But previously, the middle of the trend was here. We went from here to here. Yikes. Okay, Sofi. It's the war of the words. 1424. The middle of the trend is right here. 1421, we could chop sideways or we continue to go up. One level of resistance, 1466. 1489, that's an area we've been to before. And fingers crossed we make it to 1511. Wouldn't that be lovely? To the south side, one level of support, 1376. 1353, don't hold your breath, 1331. I did do a quick trade last week. I sold out at 1440 here, and I bought in right here at 1408 for a 2.27% return. All right. This gap is still in play. Oops. Command Z on a MacBook. That will take us down to 1370. And, oh, this, which I anticipated for a gap up to 1391, closed out on Thursday. So congrats if you played this gap. Let me delete 1391. Nope, I deleted the wrong thing. You have to have your cursor on the correct part. 1391, delete. All right, that is done. That's cleaned up. That's cleaned up. All right, we are looking good for my chart cleanup, for cleaning it up. But we have a gap that will take us down to 1129 and down to 1073. This thing has whipped us around. The middle of the trend, as I mentioned, is here. Last week, we were right here. And I drew out this one just because I was doing something. What did I do in the middle of the week? So let me just delete that because I only do it at the beginning of the week, for the week, and that's it. And then this one's very close to it, so I could get rid of it. And why don't I do that just to clean it up? But that one I tracked on Friday the 21st for Monday the 24th. Let me just get rid of it. It's too close. Delete. I don't need them at all, but I like to put it in there just to see where we could retrace to. Okay, the middle of the trend is here. By the end of the week, that could be at 1532. The lower band could be at 1441-ish, which is an area that I basically sold out at. All right. And Rivn is next up. $14 is where we ended. One level of resistance, 1409, 1424, 1440 to the south side, middle of the trend. 1378, 1347, don't hold your breath, 1333, and also to an area we've been to in 2024, 1316. Note the bounce here at support, support, support. Sell off here at resistance, but we went up and then down. Sell off here at resistance. This line could act as support and a bounce off of that. Sell off here at resistance. This gap closed. Where are my gaps to the upside? Okay, we've got one at 1590 and roughly 1564, but we are moving farther away from it. And so this gap down here is what you need to watch out for at 1274. And everything else has been cleaned up. All right. That is Rivn. So the middle of the trend is here. Last week we were here. So the market went down for Rivn as well. But of course, you know, you get slammed down and you bounce up again within that week. So you have opportunities to get out. But from here to here is a decline of 6.38%. But from here and then buying down here, note this line turned into support. Let me turn off the magnet. If you bought down here, sold out roughly around there, that's a nearly 6% return, so that's not too shabby. Okay, next, let's start blazing through this. Estee Lauder, 68.43. Resistance, 68.97. 69.49. 70.03. Don't hold your breath for that level. This is now here at 67.93, 66.86, 66.34, and roughly, don't hold your breath, 65.80. And last week we were, right here. So not too bad from here to here, but look at this. We got slammed all the way down to here. This line turned into support and a bounce off of that. Resistance, sell off, resistance, sell off. From here to here is roughly an 8% return. So this gap is still in play to the downside at 61.06. This one is still in play at 63.79. Okay, this gap did close out of the gate on Monday, so that is done, finito. Down to 66.36, no longer a threat. These are your threats right here, and we are still going down on the 5. Okay, I think everything else looks good, except watch out for these landmines or opportunities. Also depends on what side of the line you purchased this, or if you're trying to dollar cost average. All right, so watch out for that. Estee Lauder. Oh, and you know what? Because these lines are getting very close, I'm going to delete this one, and I drew that one out on Monday the 24th for that week. Let's just delete that. Delete. Boeing. Option R, so it can help me reset. We are at resistance with Boeing, so watch out. We are going to roll over and get slammed down to go back up again, sure. But right now we are high on the channel here, outside of that 2 standard, and on our way possibly to 4, and that would be roughly 21 to 1130. Okay, and I need to clean something up. Okay, to the south side, because you can bet this will roll over to 1056, 209.86, the middle of the trend, is now here. At 208.37, we could roll over and bounce off that, or just continue to grind along this green line. 206.85, don't hold your breath for down here. 206.14, and if it does, you know what's going to happen. 205.38, note the bounce at support, sell off at resistance, kind of bled through there. Support, bounce, and resistance, so there will be a sell-off. And that's resistance, resistance, resistance. Clear levels of support and resistance, and this gap closed. So what else is happening? So last week, this was the middle of the trend, and now we've inched up slightly. But from here at 207, well, let's just pretend you caught this wave at this level. Note, I marked that out, and it bounced off of that as a support line. From here to here is roughly 3.79%. In one day from this opening, that's not too shabby. I'll take it all day long. All right, we've got a gap that will take us to 217.69 and a gap that will take us down to 198.61. Okay, so watch out for that, and 184.08 as well. And as far as the middle of the trend for next week, we could end here at 199.97, the outer band, 202.98, the lower band, 196.90. Next, Intel. We are at support. We could roll over still, but then bounce. And check out the RSI, still going down. Here are your levels. This is 2024, resistance, 2045, 2055, and 2066 to the south side. 2003, roughly. 1992, and roughly 1982. So we have this gap. It looks like it touched, but if you make that and extend it bigger, you can see there's a hole right here. Did not touch. I will not give it as a win to the south side. We still need to go down and then close that out 100%. Oops. Note the bounce here at support where I sold out once at 1985. And what else? So we have a gap to the upside at 2163. And to the south side, 1888 is still in play. I will clean that up later. All right, next one. NEO. Oh, please pause and check out my public service announcement. Let me move this out of the way. Okay. 363 to the north side. Middle of the trend. 364. 380, 388. Oh, and right here, that will take us to 397-ish. Note the gap that will take us to 409 whenever we should reverse course. But right now, it's sort of going sideways, just slightly down though. All right. Resistance, sell-off. Oh, did I do the south side? Let me do the south side. I don't think I did. 348, 340, and 331. This gap is still in play, taking us down to 341. Oh, wait a minute. Did it close? Oh, no, it closed. That was the tiniest gap. Nope, nope. I'm wrong. That is not a threat to our account. That was a fast open and a fast close. I should just delete it because look at this. On the 5, we opened up, we gapped down, we reversed. Oh, wait. That should be green. We went down to reverse to the upside and it touched right there. Took us up to roughly 351. So that is no longer in play. Okay, there, that looks better. Let's see, that looked not, it looked wonky to me. and I was correct. I did not label it accurately. Okay, this took us to 367, delete. This is still in play. This will take us to 375. And then those other gaps. And for Neo, I think that's it for gaps to the south side. But I'll look some more, but I don't think there are. I think we have been beaten down so much by this ticker. All right, next one, and yay, last one. I got it all in. Okay, 6280. 6301. 6381. 6421. And roughly 6460. Okay, to the south side, 6222, 6183, 6142. All right, what is happening with the gaps? This gap, oh, wait a minute. I extended it out, but did it touch here? Like right here. Did it fully touch? I'm just going to give that as a win. That took us to 6318, delete, even though I marked that out incorrectly. I'm going to give that as a win on Tuesday the 20th. Okay, that's done. What happened? Oh, this happened to just touch and I never cleaned it up. How funny. Okay, 6125, delete. This gap will take us down to 58.39. Let's extend that. And then to 57.26 here. Oops, Command Z. This will take us to 65, so I will extend that out. And then we've got one to 66.99, and I think that is it. So if we follow this line, the end of the week could take us to 63.97 for the middle of the trend if we continue to go up. The outer band, 65.56, 62.38. Again, this is the middle. And last week we were here. So we went from here to here, but price-wise, this price fell. This fell to that level, and that was a 5.85% return. And that was roughly at 60.16. So congrats if you made some money there. And this is resistance, and what happens? Fell down, touched this gap. Gaps act like support and resistance too, so don't forget about that. We bounced clearly right off of that, bounced clearly right off of that, bounced off of this line, which was the middle of the trend. All right, that does it for me. That is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of June 9th through the 13th. If there is a ticker you'd like me to go over, please let me know, and have a fantastic trading week.